Hello and welcome to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm your host, the Fat Jack. The weekend is here. College football playoffs are here. I should quit saying, I was thinking as I was saying that, Brandon, I should quit saying I'm your host, the Fat Jack. I've said that for 25 or 30 years. We're the host of the show, so I should be saying, welcome, it's Brandon and the Fat Jack to the Fat Jack Sports Hour. How are you, buddy?
It is the Fat Jack Sports Hour, so you are the host. So
well, I know, but
yeah,
it's a little redundant.
I appreciate it.
I say I'm the host, Fat Jack, and then I immediately bring in you as my co-host. That seems redundant. I think I could do better. That's all. You know what? Holidays are coming. I'm gonna have a little bit of time.
New Year's around the corner. New year, new you, maybe.
New year, new me. I'm gonna draw a line in the sand. I'd like to be able to say I'm going to let you do 50% of the talking, but we know that's never going to happen. I want to, but I just start in on something, and next thing you know, it's a full thought, and the show's over. So, Brandon Rush from Louisville, Kentucky is here, obviously, and we are ready to make you some money. If you're out there betting the games, this is an important time of year, obviously, because you guys are going to your in-laws, you're going to the holidays. You may be visiting some states that have sports gambling that you may not have where you are right now. So, everybody out there, if you're listening and you're planning on betting on any sports of any kind, this is a great hour for you. It will make you some money. We'll give away some free winners, and we'll get you signed up to consistently build profit, which most of you, if you've been betting, have not been doing. So fatjacksports.com. Go there, get signed up today. Let's get this thing underway. Brandon, how are you, buddy? What's been going on?
I'm good. You know, the college football playoff finally being this weekend, it kind of feels like it's been a long time coming. I don't know about you, but it felt as if the season kind of drug along, and then the last 6 weeks absolutely flew by.
You know, I really think the whole season went about like I thought it was going to. It was one of those years where we consistently built profit. Where it slows down for me is when we have a stretch where we don't do well. Like I'll go through, it's sports gambling. So you're going to have a week or two normally or 10 days where it might not be going that well. And this year there really hasn't been that. There haven't been as many 11-1s. Although we've been really close. We were 9-2 a couple weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks ago. We were 10-4 the week before that. This is just in football. So we've been building a lot of profit. It's not like we're going 7-5. I mean, we're having good weeks. But normally I'll have a stretch where I'll go 5-6 or 5-8. You know, you lose a few games of profit. We haven't had many of those because Saturdays have been so strong. We've had Saturdays have averaged 4-2 this year. 2 Saturdays ago, we were undefeated with 4-0 after a 3-0 Saturday. And so a great week. This last weekend, there weren't a lot of games on Saturday. We actually had just a couple of extra plays, had the Army-Navy game, had the bowl game, lost the total in the Army-Navy game, got a lot of bad luck last week. I'm not going to complain about it because, honestly, we're doing so well. And even in spite of bad luck, I feel like I would just be, throwing feathers in the wind and hoping it goes. It's just going to blow back in my face. Who cares? Because we've been doing so well. It could be worse. The gods could say, "Let me show you some bad luck." Let me show you, because we're not getting that. We're getting some bad luck, but we're still doing very well. So we won last Thursday with the total over in the Atlanta game, and then Saturday we just, like I said, we pushed because there wasn't a lot going on Saturday. And then Sunday we lost a game more than we won. But we've hit 75% on Mondays. We were 3-1 the Sunday before that. So the only guy that would even care about losing half a game or so on Sunday. And by the way, we had 2 extra plays on Sunday, which a lot of guys play, and those both won easily. And the free play, if you look for a free play on the website, you got New Orleans plus the points there, which was another free winner.
One outright, yeah.
So I'm not going to complain, but we were really close to going 4-1 easily. We had, Green Bay loses, and they were a bad loss. But the other ones, we have Cleveland that not only did they drop the play, Shadir Sanders is complaining about without complaining about Judy dropping a ball. But they were down 1st and goal on the 3 at the end of that game to put in a meaningless touchdown and couldn't get it in from the 3 in 4 tries. Otherwise, that game goes over. Kansas City, rock solid to the under. I feel bad about Mahomes. I wish that upon anybody. I know you don't. I mean, he's had a little bit like us. So he's had a lot of success.
My facial expression said that I could care less. But at the same time, I'm like, the guy has been to 7 straight AFC Championship games. He has one of the richest contracts in all of football. He's the most popular person probably in the NFL. Do I feel bad that he got hurt? Yeah. At the same time, I'm like, it happens. You're not going to be at this level and not have some sort of bad thing happen to you at some point in your career. It just finally came for him. It sucks for Chiefs fans that it came on the same day that they get eliminated from playoff contention.
Yeah, I don't think
and
anybody
now next year is possibly in jeopardy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody out there is feeling sorry for the Chiefs. I mean, in general. I mean, Travis Kelce's marrying Taylor Swift. I mean, this is not.
There's a lot of good going.
A lot of good going on. Yeah, they've had nothing but success. And frankly, if you're not a Chiefs fan and you're anybody else, especially in the AFC, you're excited they're not going to be a part of this.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
Yeah, you don't want. It's a little bit like we had when New England was so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the last thing you wanted to do was play Tom Brady. The last thing you want to do is bet against Tom Brady. I mean, Falcons fans will tell you that.
Don't even remind me.
So I'm like everybody else, and that although I had really been dialed in, and right now am dialed in on the Chiefs, so we're making so much money with them. The under has been golden, and that goes away now, not because they didn't make the playoffs, but because Mahomes is dead. Not dead. Not going to play. Exactly. Wow.
That would have been. See that I would have felt sorry about.
Things got real.
That I would have been like, oh my god, yeah.
It's like the coach at Michigan. Things got real all of a sudden. I mean, things went from. It's funny how we've had a few of those things. We got the guy rigging poker games. It's the Portland Trailblazers coach.
Mm-hmm.
Now we got. Sharon Moore's his name. Moore just making one bad decision on top of another. His life is now in turmoil. It just shows, man. Brandon, if you're doing, here's the thing about me. I'm an open book. If there was something going on in the background, but I first started this. And by the way, FatJackSports.com. We're going to break down these playoff games that are coming up this weekend. But when I first started this, there were people that were like, you know what? He's on the clock. This thing's he's got so many skeletons in the closet. There's no telling what he did. It just makes sense that there would be some shady areas going on. But the reality is I'm what you get. What you see is what you get. I'm an open book. I'm not doing anything with staff members. Although you and Karen, I actually am doing a lot with one of my staff.
I would say you're doing a lot with one staff member, but that was prior to the start of the business.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, she precedes the Fat Jack Sports Hour, Fat Jack Sports Service. So, but I'm not doing. There is not a gray area. I'm not gambling illegally. I gamble legally. What you see is what you get. So I'm glad about that because these other guys, it's all this stuff that's taking place in the shadows that ends up jumping up and getting them. So FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. We're going to have another big weekend. These college football games are here. You can get everything through the end of the month for $2.99, depending on when you're listening, but it'll be $2.99 or less as we get toward New Year's Eve. You need to go longer. Get a longer package. You're going to save money. It breaks down to less than $100 a week. And more importantly than both of those, Brandon, we haven't mentioned this yet. This next week, I will put out the yearly best deal, absolute best rate of the entire year comes out next week. And that is for everybody that knows they want to win betting on sports. You want to pay the least amount, you want to get all the picks, and you want to be able to pay out the service fee. That deal, the best deal, starts up Christmas week. So FatJackSports.com, you have to get signed up for the new year before the end of this year. So before New Year's Day, you have to get in the system. You can pay out the service fee up to 8 months. This is a great time to add all the sports. If you're just a football or just a football and basketball guy, you can add all the sports. You can pay out the service fee. Your new package plan will start when you get in the system. So if right now you're on football or football and basketball through this year's Super Bowl or March Madness or whatever, but you want to add soccer, add UFC. By the way, soccer, we didn't talk about that. Soccer won again last week. Players' props are up 9 or 10 games last week. We're winning a lot of money. But if you want to add those sports, you get access to those sports now, even though you're paying a rate that technically doesn't start until the Super Bowl. So, and if you're on no package, you get signed up for that season package. You're not on a package, you get signed up for that yearly package that goes from Super Bowl to Super Bowl. You can pay out the service fee, or the better deal, get the lowest rate of the entire year now. And when you do that, you get access to the picks between now and this year's Super Bowl, and basically for free. So FatJackSports.com, look for those emails, get in our system. The easiest way to get in the system, sign up for a free pick on the website. Then you'll get the marketing stuff. When you get the marketing stuff, it will say season 26, 27 season rates available now. Take advantage of these deals. You absolutely want to do that. When you sign up in February or March or April or August, you're paying more. You're missing all those plays. And I will always say the best time to get signed up is right before New Year's. It's the best the year before. That's when the guys get the best rate and make the most money. So get ready for that at FatJackSports.com, or just like I said, get this weekend's games, or through New Year's Eve for $2.99 or $3.99 with Hoops. Brandon, let's start with Oklahoma, Alabama. What are your thoughts?
Big one.
Where are
That's
we?
the first game of the college football playoffs this year. We talked a little bit about it last week when after it was the week after the pairings were announced, and I've kind of shifted my thought in that I don't really know that it matters who wins this game, because either one's going to get eliminated in the Rose Bowl against Indiana. So that said, the first team to 15 wins. I'm sticking with that, because I don't think, as good as both these defenses are, Oklahoma top probably 6 in almost every metric. Alabama not far behind them, although not near the best Alabama defensive teams that we've seen in the last decade or so. Not a lot of offense, and it's going to take a score from either a defense or a special teams unit to maybe get above 20 in this one. But I feel like first 1 to 15 wins, the fact it's in Norman, may swing it a little bit more towards Oklahoma's way, but boy,
Super
being
interesting.
the first playoff game is a lot of pressure, it feels like.
Super interesting matchup too, because you have an Oklahoma. They're not going to score most likely for different reasons. Alabama's offense is efficient, more than efficient actually.
Mm-hmm.
They throw the ball down the field a little bit. They run it okay. Their defense is good, not great. But they're going to have a lot of trouble scoring. They're 5-0 to the under their last 5 games. So when they play good teams, especially SEC teams, they don't score a lot. They don't give up a lot. So you would think they're going to have trouble getting it in the end zone because not because of the things they're necessarily deficient in, but what Oklahoma is so good at and what we expect to happen with OU's defense, especially on extra rest. You talk about that's the kind of the asterisk is, will the extra time help OU's offense at all? Because that's the problem. It's not Alabama's not going to score because Oklahoma's defense is that good, and it really doesn't matter. That will be a great matchup against Indiana. Now, win-loss, yeah, I mean Indiana's going to be a favorite. All of the teams with byes are going to be a favorite. We're going to talk about Texas Tech here in just a minute, but yeah, all these teams with the byes are going to be favored in the next round most likely. But so maybe they win, maybe they don't. But getting through this one will be all about mistakes or generating mistakes by the other team. The last time these two teams played, there was a defensive score and a special teams that gave the ball down inside, I think, the 30, and they still went under the total. Oklahoma's gone under. They've been, and my clients will tell you this, we have auto bet. I rarely bet on Oklahoma, the Thunder, any team that I am around a lot. But we have bet more
that you're in close proximity to. You try to avoid.
It's not just because I like them more, don't like them more. It's because that extra information will skew what you look at and what you're paying attention to. And so this type of game. And by the way, if you're listening on the weekend, I get it that this is a little bit late, but we're going to break down the game because a lot of people listen to the podcast. They listen on Thursday. They'll listen, all week long, and they're going to want to know what's going on. Oklahoma 11-2 to the under. Their last 13 games. So unless Oklahoma with that extra time does something offensively, gets back to the John Mateer and company that was taking place before he got the hand injury, under's definitely the play. After that, it leads me toward Oklahoma's got a slight edge at home. So unless Alabama, Oklahoma blows some coverages, I think definitely Oklahoma will have trouble coming from behind. So if Alabama gets up, this is going to be a problem. If Oklahoma gets up, Alabama has a shot at coming from behind, but I think these are two evenly matched teams, especially at this point in the year. Last time these two teams played, it was determined by turnovers, things that I can't sit here 5, 6, 7 days before and predict what's going to happen with the turnovers, as can anybody. But if turnovers are even, the Sooners have a slight edge under the total, definitely the best play. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. Win this weekend. We're talking about what happens next, about Indiana, Texas Tech, Ohio State, those type teams. Let's quickly look at the other game that's going to be going on this weekend. That I don't want to talk. I'm not going to talk too much about Oregon and Tulane and those type of games. I don't think there's a lot to be talked about there. When we release that, it'll be a release, and there will be some information on it. But the other game is interesting to me, that Miami, Florida, Texas A&M game. Brandon, what are your thoughts on that? Is A&M, I talked for a month about A&M hadn't played anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally did play Texas, lost to Texas. There's a bunch of teams out there that through most of the season, you could look up and say, what's their best win? If they played somebody, they'd lost to them. Even Ohio State, we talked about them, and I released Indiana against Ohio State as one of our selections. We were 4-0 that championship Saturday, and it was primarily because I trusted Indiana more with what they had gone up against. They had gone on the road, beat Oregon. I think Oregon's good, not great, but good. And Ohio State didn't feel like they had been in much adversity, and felt like it was a letdown situation coming off the Michigan win.
Yep.
So now you've got Miami of Florida against A&M. What are your thoughts on this one?
This A&M squad, I feel like has kind of bought into Mike Elko more than they ever did under Jimbo Fisher. The campus, from everything I'm reading, like the entire program, everybody involved, fans aren't necessarily waiting for that other shoe to drop. I don't know if you ever watch SEC Shorts. It's a great deal on YouTube. But they always have this reoccurring character called the battered Aggie syndrome that just always shows up anytime any Texas A&M starts to feel good. I don't know that this is probably the most confident that the A&M program has been in quite some time. And now they're playing a team which has virtually no identity. I don't think is very tough. And they're playing a quarterback in Carson Beck, who I don't feel is that consistent at all. So I feel like this is probably my favorite game of the weekend, just because I don't trust that Carson Beck can perform against a quality defense on the road when everything matters. We've seen him against lesser defenses like Louisville just absolutely pee down his own leg because he can't hold on to the football. It's a mess. I trust A&M a heck of a lot more, especially with everything that they've got going on, than I maybe have ever trusted Miami.
So why is it only 3.5?
It feels to me like they're maybe begging for you to boy. It feels like they're trying to telling you to take A&M, but not they're not overly confident.
See, the problem is, let me help you with that, because I know why it's 3.5. But I asked that because everything you said is X's and O's on the field, right?
Right.
You don't trust Carson Beck. Feel like A&M's got it going. They're at home. All those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
The gambling angles start after all that, because all that's baked in. Everybody understands exactly what Miami has done and, more importantly, not done this year.
Mm-hmm.
And they also understand that A&M at home has looked pretty good. I mean, this is a team that has it going on. Miami, Florida, 7 of their last they're 8-3 straight up their last 11 road games. A&M is 5-12 against the spread their last 17 games. So they don't cover much. And
wow.
The reason it's this is because a few different reasons. Number one, Miami does have athletes at the skill positions. If Carson Beck is able to get it to them, and arguably, again, we talk about who have you played, who have you beaten. What's A&M's best win? Look up their schedule or whatever. Tell me who their best win is, and I'm going to tell you most likely that Miami, Florida has better athletes at receiver and, frankly, at running back, but definitely at receiver and probably in the secondary than most of the teams that they've played. Now, yes, is Miami capable of showing up, not paying attention, chasing butterflies, and losing games? Yeah, absolutely they are, and they've done that. They're very consistent in what they are. And frankly, it goes back to the athletes they recruit. They have guys that walk around with their chest bowed out that are very cocky. Mm-hmm. It's not just the persona of Miami, Florida. It's who they're getting. They're getting South Florida athletes that are on their way to the NFL or think they are. And when adversity strikes, they don't really rise up. And frankly, a lot of the Florida schools can say the same thing. Florida State's the same way. Florida State was the same team that could lose to 3 or 4 teams that they shouldn't lose to, but also beat Alabama. Mm-hmm. Miami and Florida is that similar team. Super athletic. When things are going well, they're going well. When things aren't, they aren't. Who's A&M's best win?
At Notre Dame.
Okay.
Which they won by 1 point in September.
Into the game to a team that's not even in the playoffs. So, and frankly, I don't think should be in the playoffs. We haven't talked a lot about that, but I don't believe they should be. You lose to a team straight up, you don't get to get in. They lost to Miami. and they did not have a marquee win. Notre Dame had no good wins. So I guess my point is Miami, Florida, if things are going well, I could absolutely see them winning this game. If they are not going well, yeah, they're going to lose by 14 points or more. So A&M 5-12 against the spread their last 17. They give up points. It's gone over 5 of 7 games at home this season. Oh, no, just the last 7 games, 5 of the last 7 games. And if you let Miami's receivers get loose and their athletes kind of take over, this thing gets really stressful really quick for A&M that has all the pressure on them. Miami's athletes will look in the mirror and say, yeah, we need to win. But everybody else, including A&M's players, boosters, donors, all that. This is a
the one security guard who tried to rough up South Carolina players. Yeah, he's feeling it too.
And this is a disappointing season if A&M doesn't win this game. And it will be not for me, I don't care, but for their fans, they expect more. The A&M players and fans and coaches expect more than this, especially after the way the year got started. This team was number 1, number 2 in the country, or top 3 in the country for a long time. Rolling through after they beat Notre Dame, things were easy. Mm-hmm. Now here, all of a sudden they've got tough. Lost to Texas, that's not great. Now we got a little doubt creeping in. We're beating up players on other teams. That whole thing starts becoming a part of the mindset. Miami's got a lead going into the 4th. A&M's going to look up and be like, "Oh my gosh, what are we doing?" So,
yeah, Miami's playing with house money at this point because they were not in the ACC championship game. They kind of, I can't say they backdoored their way into the playoff,
but kind of did, right?
They kind of did, yeah. And like you said, A&M, that Texas loss kind of starts to snowball, and then you start looking at history of what Texas A&M kind of almost always has done traditionally in spots like this where they're in must-win games. A lot of pressure on them for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So all I'm saying is if you're a Texas A&M Aggie that's also going to be betting on these games, you're driving through Oklahoma, going to Kansas or something, wherever the heck you're heading, just slow your roll a little bit, because I think this might be a little more of a challenge than you think, and I think it could get really dicey late if, in fact, Miami and Florida does what they're capable of. Not every week, but what they're capable of at their best. This becomes a real dangerous spot for Texas A&M. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. Start making money betting on these games. We're less than $100 a week right now. If you go through the Super Bowl, add basketball through the Super Bowl, make even more. Hoops have been on a really nice run this last week. They were about even, lost, I think, a game or two. But overall, over the last month or so, building profit, 3 or 4 games, 5 games a week leading up over the last month or so, leading up to this last week. So excited to get that hot again. Soccer won again last week. Players props won again last week. Lots of reasons to get signed up now. Take advantage of these lower rates as we head toward 2026. And then get that season-long package after that. How are we doing on time? We need a break?
We do.
Let's take a break. We're going to take a quick break, come back. I may not be able to hold off. We may talk about Tulane, Ole Miss, and Oregon and James Madison, because I think James Madison is an interesting team. They've won a bunch of games in a row. They're not used to losing, and they're getting 3+ touchdowns. So there is probably a little bit to talk about there. We'll also talk about the NFL, get you ready for those games, and much, much more. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Fat Jack Sports Hour.
Before the ball is tipped or a shot is even taken, before the crowd explodes or history is made. If you're going to bet, have a game plan. Bet legally, set limits, and keep it fun. When gambling becomes a problem, visit responsibleplay.org to find help.
Welcome back to the Fat Jack Sports Hour, and now here is our host, probably done Christmas shopping? Question mark. He is the Fat Jack.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 2, getting ready for the weekend, getting ready for the holidays. Yeah, it's mayhem right now over here as far as Christmas goes, Brandon. And I think it probably is most years, but this year I seem more lost than ever. I laid down a moratorium with my group that I set a piece of paper out Thanksgiving. I said I want everybody to write down 5 things that they want on the sheet. And that doesn't mean you're going to get them, but I want some direction. Last year, I just took a bunch of stuff, threw it against the wall, and saw what stuck, and most of it did not. I got like glow-in-the-dark face mask things off TikTok that were like $700.
Yeah.
They hated them. They went back almost immediately. because my group either really cares about their skin and they know exactly what they like, they know exactly what they want,
they have a routine down, they have the serums and everything, sure.
And they don't want any type of magic thing off of TikTok, or they care nothing about their skin. It's one or the other. There's no in between. Those gifts are good for somebody that says, you know what, I might want to pick up my skincare game a little bit.
Maybe this is a nice way of saying, hey, you got some stuff going on.
Yeah,
give this a whirl.
Not a thing, not a world over here. My daughter-in-law is Asian. I don't know if you know anything about Asians, Brandon, but they love skincare.
Right.
I mean, that I've seen that. I feel like I can say that without being racist because I've seen it. Not just with my daughter-in-law, but with a lot of Asians. They have great-looking skin. It's very, very. It's great skin. It really is. It's one of the assets, I think, of being Asian. I mean, it really is. And so they care about that stuff. And my daughter-in-law cares about that stuff. She does not want some TikTok thing coming on here messing with her skincare routine. My daughter, same deal. Not Asian, but same deal. Very good. Very good. She's the opposite, actually. She's got a reddish hair and real pale skin. You know,
pasty, yeah,
pasty almost. Yeah, she does not want some type of thing. And then Jack and I don't give a rip about it.
Right.
Karen's more worried about wrinkles than she is about the complexion she has. So yeah, I said, listen, the 5 things, Brent, I don't want to go pick them up. I still don't. I have a link or two. So my wife, thank goodness Karen's here, because if Karen wasn't here, nobody's getting anything.
No, absolutely not.
I'm paying for we're going skiing. I'm paying for that. I got the house. I'm bringing my mom too, so we can't talk about a lot of this, but my mom's coming up. That's been a total train wreck. I can't even get her to the airport yet. She's already cried twice. She's pissed off at it's just a whole thing. So we're going to get through it. Maybe put a video on it. I've always maintained that you could make money with certain family dynamics just putting video cameras up and letting people watch the mayhem that unfolds. So we may be in that category starting this year. So FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. Having a great year. A good enough year that we can talk about skincare in December. I mean, that's how good
and Christmas presents that weren't bought.
That weren't bought. That's exactly right. We are all the way into the ditch. It's because we're having such a great year. We really are. We're going to keep that up. This is a great time of year. If you want to be technical, we're 1-0 in the bowls so far. I mean, we had Washington as just an extra opinion. It's the only bowl game that's taken place so far, right? As of taping
as of this recording, yes.
Yeah. So there'll be more this weekend, but you're going to get. If you sign up at FatJackSports.com, you're going to get information on most of the bowl games. You really are. So even if I don't have an opinion, I'm going to give you the best opinion, especially as long as we're winning. We had Washington over Boise. They were a 10-point favorite and won by 1,000. And so you're going to get information even if it's not a release selection. I always tell guys, you can look at the recommended betting guide on what to do with all these plays, but if you're winning, those extra plays this year have literally hit about 75%. They've done really, really well. I wish I had made them all selections. Honestly, it's always easier after the fact. But if you're a lot of the elite plays are some of those plays. The elite plays, what were they on? They won big again this last week. They were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2 on Sunday. The elite plays were. So 80%. When I'm dialed in, Brandon, especially if we have a day where the top selections or opinions don't make a big profit, somebody's making that money. So if you're on the elite package, those next plays up are a combination of things. You can look at that. Those are guys that like to play more volume of plays. They're higher gamblers for $300 to $500 a game. Costs a little more for that service, but those extra plays, they will add. They'll turn a 50-50 weekend into a huge profitable week really quick. Like I say, 80% with those plays on Sunday alone. They got 10 extra plays, went 8-2. And then soccer won again last week. Players prop. So if you're getting everything and the elite, you had a great week, and you're listening to this show like, what is he talking about? I didn't have an okay week. I had an incredible week. So it just depends on how, you're at the buffet, how much you want to bite off. If you want to play everything, build profit, we have a package for that for sure. So FatJackSports.com, if you just want football for the weekend because you're going to go have to hang out with your in-laws, that we have a package for that as well. I actually had a number of people this week, Brandon, reach out and want gift cards or gift certificates for loved ones. So that happens every year. We'll have people. It's a subtle way of saying, I don't mind your gambling. I do mind your losing. A lot of girls do that for their husbands or boyfriends or whatever. I had a guy this last week did it for his dad. So, they just don't know. And this guy's a client. So he's a client, but he's going to get his dad something to just kind of show him that if we have a great week, it's great. If we have an okay week, it's okay. But you're going to consistently build profit, and we're transparent, so you're only getting the best plays. You do have an expert working for you, and there's some value in that for sure.
Absolutely, and it's really good too if you are someone who is going to play the games anyway. You're going to play your own stuff. It's a nice safety net to have your plays to kind of be like, hey, you know what? If I go out and I go 3-7, odds are at worst because of the service, I'm going to break even. So if you're just playing, the service stuff, then you're doing fine. If you want to add on your own stuff, you understand that you're taking that risk, but it is a very good safety net.
And this time of year, I'll talk you out of bad spots. So similar to what we just went through. If you're playing on your own, you're definitely playing a lot on Texas A&M. It sounds like. As if you're the average guy and you're handicapping what you're doing, and you're like, hey, I love A&M. I love it. Well, I come on and I say, okay, well, wait a minute. Let's look at this. At the very minimum,
here's why you maybe shouldn't be playing a bunch on A&M.
Yeah, and so most of the time in those spots will save you money. If nothing else, it'll save you a little bit. Now, A&M may win by 1,000. This is a horrible example. But most of the time, if I'm opposite of what the general public is, last Sunday, we have Dallas going to Minnesota. Everybody's playing makeup or
everybody.
With Dallas, we're on Minnesota. Minnesota wins straight up. I mean, it's if nothing else, you didn't lose as much if you like Dallas. So,
and that is one of the perks too of being on the elite package, which is a very, very limited roster there. But being able to when those picks come out, be like, oh, you know what, I was going to play that one, but when you start to give it out as a play to the elite clients, it really kind of rewires the way you think about games when you're betting them on yourself instead of, in addition to playing on the package.
And sometimes it's the opposite is the right side, and sometimes it's Philadelphia and Jacksonville. Last weekend, it's 13-point favorites. The elite got Jacksonville minus 13. They won by 1,000. The top plays got Philadelphia over Las Vegas. They won by 1,000. So it's not, you can't just say, well, if it looks like it should be Dallas, it's going to definitely be Minnesota. It doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. We have as many big favorites that we're going to release. Sometimes the big favorite is the right play, and you're going to get those as well. So FatJackSports.com, just get some consistency into your gambling. It's going to help you. Let's quickly look at James Madison, Oregon. And Tulane, Ole Miss. We haven't done that yet. And then I do want to talk about the Texas Tech ticket that everybody has out. A lot of people have out there. We've been getting a lot of emails, a lot of information from guys.
People are ready to try and either hedge out of this thing or are they sitting and waiting? We're going to find out.
Yeah, so let's talk about that. We will send quickly before we get into these. Let's do this first, then we'll talk about that. So stay with us if you're just here for that. If you're just here to figure out how to hedge or not hedge out of your Texas Tech ticket that you got back in September. We're going to talk about that in a minute, and then I'll tell you everything else that we'll be doing as we head up to that first round game for them. Tulane going to Ole Miss. They lose. Obviously, Lane Kiffin's gone. What are your thoughts there, Brandon? This 17.5-point favorite against a game Tulane team that's been good against inferior competition. Where does this one go?
This one's intriguing in the same way to me that the Alabama-Oklahoma game is. We've seen this game before, and if you think that this is just going to be a carbon copy of that game, you might want to pump the brakes on it because the turmoil that Ole Miss has now with coaches and coordinators being no longer being in Oxford, the fact that Lane Kiffin is not the one calling the plays for the Ole Miss offense, to me is, and this is just my brain, worth at least a touchdown. So you have a blowout in the last game. A team that knows they're playing with house money in Tulane, a team that wants revenge, and playing an opponent that beat them earlier this year. I think that counts for something. The fact that Lane is not there, and players have probably already been contacted about their moves for next season. There's a lot more distractions in the Ole Miss locker room, but Tulane kind of playing with house money at this point because they don't have the distractions that maybe Ole Miss does when. There's been so many coaches that have come through Tulane that have gone on to other jobs. They've built a reputation. They've built that program to a certain standard, and they've gone out. I mean, they beat USC in the Cotton Bowl a couple years ago. This is a team that's not afraid of taking on big name teams, and I think all that's going on with Ole Miss definitely goes into the favor for Tulane.
So Ole Miss 17.5-point favorite, totals about 56, and everything you said is right. This one has the reason we didn't jump into this game. It has the most question marks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And what you said early on, what I think is super difficult to put a value on, that is the most important thing. But frankly, if I was a radio talk show host and not a professional gambler, I would have done a little research for this show, and I would have reached out and tried to put a number on this, but I didn't. But how much is Lane Kiffin not calling the plays worth? Because to a line setter, because it's baked in. Obviously, they know that Kiffin's not going to be calling the plays. Sure. But who is, and more importantly, what's that worth to the line setter? Because that does matter. That's one of those things. Now, maybe it's a good thing. Maybe somebody's sitting over there being like, you know what, I would not have run it here. I would have thrown it, and that'll work out for them. And Ole Miss, I give them some credit for being able to persevere once all this started in Mississippi with Lane Kiffin going to go to Florida and or LSU, and then the writing was on the wall. They went out in a spot that they could have been distracted. Distracted will be the key word leading up to these games for Ole Miss. And I give them some credit for being resilient and being able to fight through that, play well, execute those type of things. So I'm not necessarily worried about that. I think the Ole Miss players, they know exactly what's at stake here. They know getting to the second round puts them a couple of games away from a national championship. I don't think they're going to be distracted with anything. They're not playing out the string. Fans may be mad and discouraged. Players don't care about that. But there is some value with what's the play calling worth. With Lane Kiffin being gone. I think Ole Miss actually surprised people. Tulane 1-5 against the spread their last 6 in this series. And they don't score a ton of points. They're under 8 of their last 10 games. That would lead you toward the underdog most of the time, but I do think Tulane's going to have trouble scoring the football. And I think Ole Miss will figure it out play calling wise to get them up in the upper 20s, lower 30s. I think this is a 34-10 type game. Somewhere in that range. So I do like Ole Miss here. It's not a release, and I like I said, I don't know that even line setters can put a value on what him not calling plays is worth. I can tell you what it's worth to them and worth the line, but that's not going to get you to what it's actually worth. I think that's an unknown that we won't get to. So we'll see as he gets closer. We may release part of this, maybe the total, but that's the toughest one. James Madison, another interesting one, Brandon. James Madison, 10-0 straight up their last 10. This team just wins.
Mm-hmm.
And Ole Miss, a lot like we talked about, even more so we talked about with Texas A&M and Miami. You have a team that's a 3-touchdown favorite playing at home against a team they should blow out. If it is close in any way late, I think things could get a little bit tight for Oregon. Oregon 10-5 against the spread their last 15, so outperforming the market pretty consistently. The thing that would worry me if I'm a James Madison fan, which I think there's like 7 in the world, right? Nobody gives a crap about James Madison unless your kid's on the team.
It is probably the smallest fan base of any team in the playoffs.
Yeah, nobody cares. I mean, but they've gone over 5 of 7 games. They do give up some points. Oregon is still offensive driven and will score some points. Oregon has not been good against the number in December. They're 1-4 against the spread their last 5 in December. The translation there is when they play better teams, they normally don't cover. James Madison, you'd have to put in a September type category with who they are, what they are. They're a good team, but they're not Michigan, they're not Indiana, they're not Ohio State. They're not. I mean, and I get that. We talked last week. If you want to know our thoughts on letting these non-Power 4 teams in, Brandon and I disagree a little bit on that, but I'm perfectly okay with 1. Obviously, 2 do not belong, especially this year, with teams having equal arguments, if you want to put it that way. Texas, BYU, and Notre Dame all have, in my opinion, pretty equal arguments with a lean toward BYU, which is really getting the shaft in this thing. Especially if Texas Tech is as good as I think they might be. So with those 3 teams being left out, we only needed 1 non-Power 4 team in. I think it was a cop-out. It's ridiculous that 2 of them are in. And this is one of those games that if it's close, we're going to see more of this in the future. So interesting to see where the committee goes, where NCAA goes with the amount of teams in the playoffs. But mark it down. If either of these teams cover, and certainly if either of them play the team close, inside 10 points, that's going to be fuel to the fire to have more of these type games in the future. So something to watch for even if you're not betting on it.
I think that they're definitely going to 16 teams within the next probably 3 years. And if one of these teams wins, if say Tulane or James Madison, or even really maybe not so much Miami because they're in a power conference, but if either the 11 or 12 seed win, you're going to hear that drum get banged a lot louder, I think.
Yeah, I don't know why it takes
to get the better teams in.
I don't know why it takes 3 years to expand. What is it? What is that? I mean, I understand we have rules, but they break rules all the time. I mean, I don't know why it takes 3.
If you've looked at America lately, Jack, there are no more rules.
That's what I say. What are we talking about? Who cares if there's a rule? If it's for the best interest in this case, we do crap that's we're blowing up things at the White House without telling anybody we're going to do it. I just think if we're gonna just do what we think's best, then let's do what we think's best. So, I think that it needs to be expanded, in my opinion. I get the other argument for the other side, but I'm okay with first-round games and everybody playing a first round. That does not bother me, and I do think some of these teams will have a chance to win. Maybe not this year, but there are teams at that level that can compete, especially with teams that are limited on one side of the ball or the other, i.e. Texas, i.e. Notre Dame that had no big wins. I would enjoy certainly a Texas Notre Dame matchup in the first round. An expansion gets us more of those games as opposed to that bye week, which is still an argument on whether that's a benefit or not. Last year, all the teams with byes lost. So I think that there's an argument on how valuable that is. It's different in the NFL than college, obviously, and we're going to see that. These first round games, everybody got the same amount of time off, but some of these, the Texas Techs of the world, Indiana, Ohio State, those teams, they have not seen the football field for a month, almost a month by the time they get there, and there's
especially if you didn't play in your conference championship game.
Exactly.
Like at least Indiana has a shorter window than say a Texas A&M or a Texas Tech does, or anything like that. So yeah, that's
I'm not saying it's bad to have that time off. I'm just saying the argument is still out there, especially with what happened last year. So I think they go to 16. I don't know why it needs to take 3 years. The older I get, the more impatient I'm getting as far as these things go. FatJackSports.com. Get signed up today. Less than $100 a week to make money. Add the soccer plays won Saturday and Sunday last week. Built some nice profit. Those plays are about $20 a week when you go longer. I think it's $6.99 right now for soccer through the Super Bowl, or $5 or $6. I think $5.99 maybe for the players props. Add up the amount of weeks between now and the Super Bowl. So you have 7-8 weeks times $600, about $80 a month. Or that's a week, so $80. No, it's less than that. So about $50 a week right now. If you add all of those things, it breaks down to about $20 a week for soccer, $20 a week for players props, and then because you're getting football, basketball, and all those other things as well. So Fat Jack Sports Hour, segment number 3, getting you ready for the weekend, ready to make some money. Just listen to this show has got people into profit. We gave out the second week of the football season, third week of the college season. Texas Tech, I said, I did this not just on this show. I did it on every radio hit, sent it out to all the clients, get a national championship ticket on Texas Tech. At the time, they were 80-1. When's the first? I know you probably heard from some people. I've heard from people also. Right after I said that for the first time on one of the things, I had probably 10 different people that have reached out that got them at 82-1. Do you see anything longer than 82-1?
I have them at 80, which I got September 10th, but I have not seen a ticket with a higher number than that.
All right, so 80, 85-1, somewhere in there. The highest you could get them at 60-1 the next time I said it, or 71. Then you get it at 50-1. I said it for a month, basically. Every time we went on anywhere, get a Texas Tech. As long as they were providing enough value that I knew that you'd be able to hedge and win easily. I heard from a guy. He emailed me. This is a longtime client because he has this email address that I have. But October 8th, 22-1. So I was
still a lot of good value at that point.
Yeah, so we're in October at some point. He's getting basically the same odds that we're giving out Super Bowl winners to win before the season starts. So, and those were clients that we sent out emails to, talked about it. So what are we going to do? That's the question. The long and the short of it is we will not make a decision on what we're going to do until we see who they're going to play. So
sure,
if you're a client or otherwise, you'll all get it at exactly the same time. And this goes for the NFL stuff too. If you played the NFL stuff and you have tickets on the Rams that are nowhere near the 26-1 or so that we got them at, or tickets on Tampa, which may or may not make the playoffs, the Steelers may, whatever it is, you'll get hedging advice. Now, my hedging advice to people, I look at all these the same. So I'll send out a cut. So I want to win on all of them. So I don't just cherry pick and say, all right, well, I've got 80-1 on Texas Tech, so I'll just want to win back X on Texas Tech. I look at that bet just like I do the other. So I'm in the futures. For me, it's about $6,000 across all my futures plays. So I have six of them, or 5 of them for $6,000. I want to make back all $6,000 and more on those bets. So I guess the long and the short of it is if this time next week, if I don't feel like Pittsburgh's going to make the playoffs, or I don't think like Tampa's going to make the playoffs, which I do think Tampa's going to get back in. I think they play Carolina twice coming up.
They do. Yeah, that division is going to be wild down this.
Yeah, so I may gamble a little on that, but I will bet on the Texas Tech, which is obviously the biggest ticket upside-wise, to try to make sure that I make money on all of that. Where most guys won't. They'll say like, all right, well, I got a Texas Tech ticket. It cost me $20. I'm going to win, what is it, $4,000 or what it's going to be on $20 at 80-1. How do I do the best for that? So we'll send out all that information, and we'll talk about it here on the show after this week's game. So I want to see who they're going to play, see the line, see the money line, all those things. So
Sure. Because I mean, they get the winner of James Madison, Oregon. If it's Oregon, obviously that you approach that game in a much different way than you would if James Madison were to pull off the upset. Because I mean, surely they can't do it 2 weeks in a row. So it might be an opportunity to where, let's say James Madison pulls off the upset, we might not even do anything with the first round. We may let it roll another week.
We would do less
until the semifinals.
We would do less for sure. So I mean, it's one of those things that it will all depend on who wins these games. I'll always do something. I like being rewarded for decisions I made in August. And you'll hear me say this every year in August. I want to place bets in August that I'm being rewarded for those bets once we get to December and January and February. So that's really the goal here, and we will walk you through all that. Go to fatjacksports.com. If this is foreign information to you, and you're not used to having 80-1 tickets or 60-1 tickets for free, go to fatjacksports.com, get signed up, and join us, because these are the things we're dealing with right now, not can I afford to gamble through the end of the year? Can I afford to go through the Super Bowl? All those type things. I'm getting ready to offer these packages that will get you into profit all year long, and they're the lowest rate of the entire year coming up Christmas week. So this time next week, you're going to get an email if you're on our system that says sign up for the early bird special. You can pay it out over 8 to 10 months. You're going to consistently build profit. Here's what you need to do to get in that system. They are the best rates of the entire year that we offer coming up the end of next week. So fatjacksports.com, make sure you're getting those emails, and more importantly, make sure that you hit those deadlines to save that money, get free plays in the process, get all of these type of plays in the process, get plays all year long. It makes it to where if you decide you don't want to bet baseball, don't bet baseball. If you miss part of March Madness and don't want to, who cares? Because you're going
somewhere on spring break, and you're not going to be able to bet basketball or soccer or baseball that might be out at that time of the year. You're fine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, because you're not really paying for all of it. You're getting weeks and weeks of free plays versus waiting until April, May, June, August, all those type of things. Not to mention we have World Cup coming up this year. This is the best time to get all the plays all year round. We're going to make a lot of money in the World Cup, and those plays will basically be free versus waiting until the World Cup starts in June and then said, hey, I want to win some money on the World Cup. Let's see what Jack has. Get signed up early, get all the plays. You can bet them, don't bet them leading up to it, because you're paying so much less than you will be if you wait. So Fat Jack Sports.
My Texas Tech ticket is going to pay for my World Cup tickets.
Exactly. There you go. So, and we're going to do that whether they win another game or not. We've already made the good decisions. So they don't have to win. That's the whole thing. I think people have trouble wrapping their brain around that. They don't have to win the whole thing. We've already
for us to turn profit. Yeah,
we're going to make money. And honestly, we could start at the numbers we got it. We could guarantee ourselves 20x. Like literally, if you bet $100, guarantee yourself $2K and still have a good opportunity to make more. Now that's an extreme. That's one of those we would go 2, and then if they lose, we go X. So we're going to do. So you got to have deeper pockets to do that. But I mean, the 80-1 ticket, there's no way to lose money on that at this point. Just
if you're Right, and if you're hearing it now, do not buy a Texas Tech ticket now.
No,
There's no value in doing the reason. Again, the reason we bought it was to hedge out of it here in December or January. Buying a Texas Tech ticket now, that ship has sailed. Do not do that.
I'm glad you said that, because I assume every single person listening is smart enough to know that, and we have been proven over 25 years that's not the case. People will take from this segment, he thinks Texas Tech is going to
win the whole thing. Based off an email I got over the weekend, I can guarantee not everybody that's listening is on board with what we got going on.
Please don't forward that to me.
Trust me. You're absolved of any of that. It's yeah.
I don't need any more eye rolling or breath losses or deep sighs of frustration at this point in my life.
This is not the time of year to be straining eye muscles because you rolled them so far back into your head.
Yeah, how stupid are some of these people? Just a few. I can say most of them get it. They're all great. Every once in a while.
98% of anybody who listens to this show is a client for a weekend or the season. On board. Good stuff ahead above the shoulders. That 2%, though.
You're going to wonder why we didn't talk a lot about the NFL this week, because we are running out of time. It's because a lot of these games are going to be releases, and the ones that aren't, I'm not going to break down the Jets and the Saints. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to break down. I'm not breaking down the Bengals and the Dolphins. Not going to do it. Some of these games, I'm not going to break down the Raiders against anybody. Because if there's value, we're going to bet it. And if there's no value, then I don't think anybody wants to hear it. I mean, that's the whole thing. I release bad teams all the time. As I said, a free winner was in New Orleans. And
I've seen the Jets, Miami, the Saints. I've seen all those come across, and I'm just like, ugh. But when they cash, I don't.
More times than not, they're going to cover. So that's where we are right now at this point in the year. They're either we're going to release them or I'm not going to talk about them, and this will be a big card on Sunday. So go to FatJackSports.com, get signed up for that. Have a great great playoff weekend. This is a lot of fun. I mean, these playoffs for people that are over even 40 years old that have real strong memories of playing your bowl game and then waiting on a bunch of Poindexters with the AP go fill out their ballots to see who the best team was in the world. This is literally the oasis. This is a great time of year.
This is how it's supposed to be.
It's supposed to be. Nobody's arguing about who's the best team in the country after the last game now. And that's what we want. That's what I kept saying. Even as an idiot child, I would say, why are we doing this? Why do we care what the coaches think who are already mad because they lost their bowl game? I mean, they have so many different reasons to not vote somebody. We're going to care about that. Let's play it out and see. Nobody complains afterwards. Nobody said Ohio State wasn't best last year. We know they're the best because they won. So get signed up today. Make money this time of year. Wager responsibly. Don't drink and drive. It's holidays. Be careful about that. And enjoy yourself. Be nice to your family and others. Until next week, we're going to break down even more games, get you ready to make more money. This has been for Brandon and the Fat Jack Sports Hour.